All right, happy Sunday. Trish is in the other room going wah for no good reason.
Meow.
Yeah, that too. So here I am with the mystery of the missing 100 volts. So this ought to be interesting. I'm sitting here on this nice rainy day, playing around with the Fender Deluxe Reverb Reissue, which is one with the fancy circuit board in it instead of the hand-wired version. Good amplifier, but they're a little funky to track stuff down because of the circuit board. So it's a little bit tricky, but we're getting there. So this week I've been going a little slow and trying to recover from on the 27th my car crash, and I'm still dealing with the back pain from that. And then this last week, in the middle of the week, I suddenly had to go to an oral surgeon, so that was lots of fun. So it seems the world is out to get me this month. So anyway, here we are back on the bench doing our best. And what I have done with this Deluxe Reverb Reissue, so we can get down to the fun business with my pokey stick, is the amplifier does, I believe I can demonstrate what it does because I still have it hooked up. So here's what it does. And there's somebody going meow in the other room. Sounds about right. So here it is on with the volume all the way down, and in just a second you'll hear it. And watch it make a liar out of me. There you go. And the volume doesn't affect it, but if you listen closely you can hear the buzz. Okay. So, our nice little fancy, make sure that's unplugged, our nice little fancy setup here to explain why that buzzes and what the mystery is. So, what I've got going on here is that, I will show you, there's a schematic here, that shows all of the capacitors in the filter capacitor, in the filter capacitor can underneath here, which is the part of the power supply that filters the AC voltage into filtered DC voltage, which is where you get rid of the buzz. The buzz comes from part of the voltage, the AC voltage sine wave gets cut in half, and I know it's getting crazy technical on you, so look out for the geekness, but the sine wave turns into DC by cutting that in half. The filter capacitors fill in the dips, if that makes any sense. It turns from this kind of thing into humps, and then the capacitors fill in the dips. If one of those dips is missing because the capacitor or an associated resistor is failed, that little missing fill-in portion will create a buzz. And based on the frequency of the buzz, whether it is a very high frequency or a very low frequency, can determine where the fault lies in the circuit. So what I have determined is that where there is supposed to be 391 volts, 291 volts, etc., they're all consistently 100 volts low. So when you look at the Ohm's law and you start reading what that is, you're going to start looking at these, there's two resistors in there that are 10K, and 10K being an even derivative of 100, or these others over here, which is 100K, that also being an even derivative of 100 volts. When you get into the even numbers like that, when you start losing consistent voltage of 100 volts, then you're looking for a consistent resistor with, obviously, relation 100 for 100 or 10 for 10 or something like that. So what I'm going to have to do, I'm not going to do it today because I've had about enough of this for today because I'm still quite a lot in pain. But what I'm going to do here is I'm going to flip this thing over probably tomorrow evening throughout the week, and I'm going to take that the can on the bottom of this, which I can show you because it is unplugged. But inside, there goes that. So inside this little box right there, this little canister, that little canister contains the, put this back before I zap myself. That little canister contains the filter capacitors and the tank or reservoir capacitor and the associated resistors. So I need to take that apart, and I need to desolder the resistors and the capacitors and test each component and find out where the fault lies. And I'm about 90% certain right now that it lies inside that canister. I've tested all the tubes, I've tested all of the power transformers. Everything seems to be up to snuff, except that it's consistently 100 volts low with a buzz. So if my experience does me right, I'm gonna guess that I've got a bad filter cap. More than likely a bad filter cap and a bad resistor associated with it. So anyway, that is my afternoon project. It's a little bit on the slow side today because it was Mother's Day and I took Trish out for a late breakfast. So that was fun. And we got rained on, so that was even more interesting. But I'm slowly getting back to it. I missed last week because of the being up in Oklahoma City on a Sunday night and all that kind of stuff. I think that was last week, if I'm not too confused. But I've been on a lot of painkillers, and I've been doing a lot of early afternoon, evening sleeping because of all of the craziness that's been going on. But anyway, they took my little blue car away and hauled it off to the Crunch shop, which it'll probably end up in an auction somewhere for somebody to untwist it and rebuild it. And then I get to go find myself another vehicle, so that'll be fun. And then I can give Trish back her car, because she would kind of like to have that so she can go to Walmart when I'm not around, since I refuse to go into Walmart. So there's always that. She says, well, I got to go to Walmart. I said, well, I'm not going. I'll take you to breakfast instead. So that was the discussion. I just try to avoid Walmart if I can, and usually I can, so I'll do that. So anyway, that was my slow-going little technical talk for you, and I'll give you a little update on this baby when I get her going, and then we'll get back to a little bit of normal business. I've also got the estimate done on this Mesa Boogie. I need to call the customer on that because the amount of money involved in repairing that amplifier may be beyond what he wants to spend on it. So I won't say the amount on here, but it's pretty high. So we'll see. There's a lot wrong with that thing, and Mesa Boogie parts are not cheap. So should be interesting. So anyways, everybody try to be safe this week. Try not to wreck your car. Try not to get out caught in a hailstorm or a tornado. And do the best you can to just keep yourself in one piece. And if you can avoid emergency trips to the oral surgeon, please do that, because that was not as fun as it sounds. So there we are. Happy Sunday, everybody. And next week, hopefully, will be a lot more lively and a lot more entertaining, because I will be on a lot less pain pills. Imagine that. See you later.